latest Sooner poll is out and shows that some items on the ballot might be pretty contentious. I'm joined by OU Professor Keith Gaddie to talk about why some of these numbers are so close. Thank you for joining us.
Good to be here.
So, Republican Kevin Stitt holds just about a 5% gain on Democrat Drew Edmondson, and that's with a margin of error of about 4.63%. So why are we seeing such a close race this election cycle?
Well, you know, this political environment has not been good for Republicans. You expect Republicans to run strong in Oklahoma, but total responsibility for government has been placed in the hands of the Republicans. And with Kevin Stitt, he has been positioning himself in a way that he's not been able to bring home that last chunk of voters. He's really been concentrating on core conservatives. And one thing we see in polling is that independents and moderates are reacting much better to Drew Edmondson and much better to his presentation of issues. And that's why this is a margin of error contest.
And Oklahomans will also be voting on some state questions next week. One of those is State Question 801, which would change the way school districts can use property tax dollars. The Sooner poll shows this one actually has a pretty good chance of succeeding. Supporters make up 55% of the and the opposition sits at about 37%. So why are we seeing such a clear majority for this state question?
Well, Taitum, it's a very good question, and it illustrates the broader issue in the environment. Education's the only issue this year at the end of the day. If you put anything on the ballot that's money for schools, money for students, it's got a good chance of succeeding. And what the state question does is it expands the ability of school districts to use their property taxes. Right now, you can only use it for physical construction, new buildings or repairs to infrastructure. This expands the ability of school districts to actually use those monies in a variety of other areas, including personnel compensation. Now, there is a bone of contention with this, which is opponents of this measure will argue, well, the school districts are not really using their money sufficiently right now. Why should we be spending them more money or giving them more latitude over these monies when they've not been using the money we've already sent them effectively? That argument doesn't really seem to be resonating with most of the public, though.
And Sooner polls showed that other state questions were actually pretty close. State question 793, which would allow eye doctors in big box stores, has support at about 47% and opposition at 41%. So why has this remained such a controversial issue?
This is one of those weird issues that gets on the ballot in Oklahoma from time to time. We had one on tooth shaving a few years back. But what this does is it allows the big box stores to do what they do in very nearly every other state, which is offer optometry services inside the store. Right now they can't do that. The controversy is driven in no small part by local opticians who don't want the competition, but also have a concern about the scope of services that would be provided in the big box that they currently provide. They've been politically organized, they've been raising money, and they've been doing a lot of grassroots work, working over their clientele, working over their customers and their patients to get them to spread the word at the grassroots of the threat of big box stores moving into this space. It's kind of illustrative of the bigger thing that happened to small towns in this state over the last 25 years, where the Walmart would come in and put the hardware store out of business, put the local grocery store out of business, put the local clothing department store out of business. The fear of the opticians is they're next.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Back to you guys in the studio.